So I finally watched Tiny Pretty Things. I know, like 4 to 5 years later, but I finally was like, you know what? Let me watch this and get it off my watch list. All these fan edits that I saw like two or three, convinced me that this show was just like a fun little show of like kids at ballet school and them like figuring it out, some romance, all of that stuff. I was sadly mistaken. This by far is one of like the craziest shows I've like ever watched. And I think it was so unexpected, at least for me. I went into it thinking it was going to be like a light-hearted show, like maybe a variation of The Next Step. So far off. So far off. I feel like the kids were doing a whole lot of grown things and the adults weren't being like safe spaces for these kids because they actually were kids, like they were 16 to 17 years, like because that's what they talked about when Nevaeh, the person who's here, first moved into the dorms. Like the adults weren't safe spaces really, like apart from like I think the physiotherapist and the like dorm lady, they were probably the only two people who really looked out for the kids. Okay, so my sister's in the room and she disagrees. She thinks the guy, the teacher, who's also the husband of the physiotherapist, was also caring for the kids. She believes that it was a form of tough love. I can see how he was kind of kind to with them towards the end, but I feel like he still wasn't a safe space. My sister really liked the Topa guy. I think that's what his name. The main like dance teacher, because he was against a lot of the stuff that Ramon tried to introduce, which I agree with, but I still don't believe he was a safe space. So I won't go into detail for the whole series because I feel like this is 4 years past the release, so you guys probably already know. But there's this the first person we ever see is like Cassie, and she gets pushed off like a roof or something, or like a building edge, and basically the whole point is that Nevaeh now comes to this ballet school, and then we kind of see her journey as she goes into, as she experiences the ballet school, all the all the toxicness and everything that's expected of the ballerinas in this school. The pressure that they also face to like be the best, if they're injured, to pretty much try to cover up their injuries. What else? The drugs. Sorry, my sister's making sniffing sounds. And also how like kind of dangerous ballet could be for like young people. Like there was so much going on with like the kids between adults, and it was just like, where is the safe space for these kids? Because everyone's doing so much, everyone's like being intimate with each other, intimate with people who are way older than them, like older people thinking they can have access to these young people just because they pay or they sponsor the studio and all that, or the school. So it was just such a crazy show. And also the dynamics between all the dancers, like they all kind of hate each other, but they don't at the same time. Like they'll do anything they can to stab the other one in the back, but let someone else do it, they like pounce. So it's a very interesting dynamic between like all of them. So as the story continues, we kind of see Cassie, like the development of Cassie's relationships with them, and ultimately who pushed her. And I forgot the name of the person who pushed her, but it was Bet's sister. Oh, spoiler! And it was like because of like the length she would go to, like because of jealousy. When it was Ramon, she should have been angry at because he was the one who was meant to be loyal to her, but because he did her choreography, she took it out on Cassie, who's like much younger than her, which is so sad, but it's actually quite worrying. So yeah, I do agree that it could be maybe not fully. It was a lot of jealousy, but it also could be like the sister may have like pushed Cassie because like she wanted to remain the only person he would focus on and do like performances for. And then at the end with Ramon, someone, went after him. So that was surprising because I was like, who would eventually go after him? I know he had a lot of enemies, but still. So these are some more noticeable mentions. I also would like to say that the show touched upon so many other things other than dance, which I think was really good to see and really highlighted like some of the things that ballerinas and any ballet dancers go through in order to get to such levels and like the maintenance to stay there. So I do think it was really good for that. Very unhinged as well. A lot of things happen. But if this is the reality, is it unhinged or is it just unhinged because I've never seen it before? So, but some more noticeable moments. Let's go through them. So the noticeable moments I've written down, I had to write them down, was Belle's mum not caring when she was like basically going through anything. Like the mum only cared about her reputation, and also the mum giving her like drugs to sustain her injuries. Whew. Oren really highlighted like the body image issues that I feel like it's not always like showcased when it comes to male dancers. I think it's often always like shown with women. So I think it was really good to show it in men as well, because I feel like he may have had, is it body dysmorphia, where like he feels like he looks a certain way when he doesn't, and that's why he also takes it out on himself. But also everyone seems to have like seen him when he was younger and he was bigger then, so people still call him names even though he's clearly lost significant amount of weight. And I think he was very skinny, but people are calling him fat, so I don't know about that one. What else did I note down? Oh, the bullying Nabil face was so hard to watch. Like, from, like, oh my gosh, that was so hard to watch. And then, was it Caleb, his name, his roommate? That was so hard to watch. I get they became okay towards the end, but it was like, this guy couldn't, like, Nabil couldn't even pray in peace. What else? Shane just needed a hug. Throughout the entire series, he just needed a hug. Like, it was really sad to watch, like, how, like, much he didn't see himself to, like, be someone who could be in a relationship, and like he would just feel like all he was good for was sex. That was so sad. And like, these are like kids, like, even though obviously they're paid by adults, but these characters are kids, so that was really sad. Ramon is trash, nothing but trash. When I saw the ending, I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised because he has so many enemies. I may have been the one who did it, so don't want to say good riddance, but that's the sentiment, I think. Also, all the injuries that people had, all the injuries that, like, you would see, like, the toes of the ballerinas, and you're like, whoa, that is, like, so much, and they're not, like, resting. Like, rest wasn't an option here. Oh, the grooming, actually, I don't think I can say that on TikTok, but, like, all the adults being so involved in the young people's lives to a point where it was like, this is getting weird, and like some of the stuff that adults could say or get away with just was not appropriate at all. What else did I write? Yeah, perfectionism within this space. That was all that was expected. So I feel like it just highlights how much pressure there is in ballet schools to get major roles, to stay at major levels. So yeah, overall the show was so crazy. I think that's the only word I can use to describe it. But it highlighted so many things, and I think there is a lot of truth to what was highlighted. Like, I don't think the writers pulled this out of thin air to make an unhinged show. I do believe that there's probably a lot of truth to what ballerinas go through, because after I finished this show, I literally researched and went and watched some videos about ballerinas talking about their experience, like the pay, how expensive shoes are. Oh my gosh, I forgot about how expensive it costs to even be in a school, attend, the costumes, all of that. So I think it did highlight a lot of things that often isn't seen, and also the dynamic between sponsors and performers. So overall, I do think it was a good show for highlighting these things. I think it needed more trigger warnings. I don't know if we got many, but it needed more. It needed a lot.